I will bring the June 6, 2023 Board of Education meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Kate Thomas,
Here.
Troy Carr. Troy Carr. Deb Baker. Here. Jim Hansen.
Here.
He said here. I could barely hear him though.
Can you turn your volume up, please, Mr. Hansen?
It's up as loud as it goes.
Okay, we got you now. Thank you. Clay
Yes, ma'am.
Cologne. Jamie Clapham is absent with notice. Michael Berkland
Here.
and Bishop Carr. Oh, we see he's here.
Looks like he's unmuted too, but. All right. Do we have someone here tonight for invocation? We do not. All right, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I need a motion for the approval of proposed agenda.
Make motion.
Second,
Ooh, that was close.
you can have it.
Deb and Clay. Roll call.
Kate,
Yes.
Troy, Deb, yes, Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Does it look like he went out and came back in, Mr. Carr? Oh, yeah, okay. All right, persons wishing to address the board, we have just two tonight. And both of you know the rules, so I won't go over those. Ms. Jan Mangelson.
Thanks. As stated in the policy that will be reviewed, only parents and guardians would be part of the select committee of the libraries. I would like to see that include grandparents. I would also request that books that are offensive should be noted, but that we be spared the specific offensive passages. Thank you.
Thank you. And Florence Thompson.
Okay, please excuse my casual appearance. I've been out campaigning today and yesterday. So, I should identify myself just in case somebody tunes in that doesn't know who I am. My name is Florence Thompson. I'm president of South Dakota Parents Involved in Education. And I'm a retired school psychologist with over 40 years experience in the schools as a psychologist. I'm a grandmother of a public school student. I would like to speak about the library materials policy procedure. I was trying to read this on my cell phone today outdoors, and it was hard to figure out anything, but one of the things I did glean out of it is apparently in order to make a complaint or to sustain a complaint about a book, say a book as an example, you must read the whole book and not just use one quote or whatever. And I think this is prohibitive. I think this is punitive. People that object to the lewdness, the crassness, the vulgarity of some of these books do not want to read the entire book. I don't think they should be required to, nor do I think they should be made to lie to say that they did read the whole book. Some of these books are abhorrent, quite frankly. And I think it's wrong to make that a consideration. The idea that somehow you can put something extremely offensive and wrong into a book, and then somehow there are redeeming literary or social values in that book. Nothing erases that from that child's mind. Once you can't unsee something, you can't unread something. We should not be putting things like this in front of children. And when you say, well, you know, I want my kids to read it. I want my kids to read anything. Well, that's fine. But we shouldn't be putting that in our school milieu. We shouldn't be putting that out in our school environment, because you give it to one child and they're going to be showing it to everybody else. So it's going to be out there. If you have these things there, there's really no real benefit to these books. If they have to be obscene, then get rid of them. They shouldn't be in the schools, and they shouldn't be being paid for by the taxpayers. There's plenty of places people can get pornography for their kids if they want pornography for their kids. So anyway, I do think it's not wise or fair or good policy to require whoever's complaining to read the entire filthy book. And also, I think that this is why a lot of parents don't see any alternative than to just pull their kids out of public schools.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, on to board response to the open forum. Both were part of the policies, which I'm assuming some policies will be pulled, so maybe we could skip that part unless somebody has something. Go ahead, Bishop Carr.
No, if they're going to be pulled to make comments, I can make the comment at that time.
Sure, sounds good. All right, on to conflict of interest. There have been no waivers turned in, so we are on to the first reading of policy and procedure, A through J. I need a motion and a second. Does anybody want any one of them pulled first?
Can we pull A through D?
A through D?
Yes.
Any others? Okay, with E through J, I need a motion and a second.
Make a motion.
Deb,
Second.
Clay? All those, roll call, please.
This is a vote for policies E through J. Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb. Yes. Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, I need a motion and a second for A.
Motion.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. Michael?
Yeah, I didn't know if Bishop Carwin, he had stuff too. You can lead if you want.
I guess my comment is short. I apologize. I'm in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So maybe this will prove my dedication to service of the children. But I just wanted to let everyone know that while this policy is trying to deal with books that are already in the library, the board is also addressing moving forward, doing a better job at filtering what books come into the library. And I think that's been probably the main issue, that there wasn't enough of a system in place to catch these books before they get to the library. So I just want the community to know that we're working on both ends, the books that are in now and doing a better job to filter what goes into our public libraries. Thank you, President Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. That is, I agree with that sentiment. We have been working hard on the other end as well. So, and with those that need to be involved. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. So first off, I want to say thank you to everyone that was working on this. I feel much better about this one than the previous one. And I had a great conversation with Ms. Parker, our lawyer, about some of them too, and she answered a lot of my questions. So I want to say thank you to her as well. On this first one, which is actually about gaining materials as well, I believe. I forget which one's which, but I think this is the one about that. Okay, thank you. So on that one, my main concern that I shared with her that I think could be looked at is the kind of vagueness of the committees, whether there's a district committee or a per school committee. And one of the conversations that I had with her was it had a minimum of 2 teachers and a minimum of 2 parents, and just how those numbers might work out so that we have a balanced, if we could put something in there perhaps about ensuring that those are balanced in numbers so that we don't have 10 teachers and 1 parent or 10 parents and 1 teacher, so that we are accurately representing our whole community and our whole school. I think that's it for A. I don't know
Okay,
if you want me to talk
so-
about it.
May I, President Thomas?
Yes, go ahead.
So, for clarity, if it said equal numbers of staff and parents or guardians, that is your request for us to consider?
So do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I didn't want to pursue.
Yeah, you
Okay,
could.
I will make that motion then to include that there will be an equal number of
Both.
staff
Great.
and parents, yes.
Do you have that, Shirley?
Um,
Second it, somebody?
Do we want to see if Kelsey has any comments? Kelsey, are you on?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I talked to Michael about that, and I think in my understanding, that was also the intention of the policy committee was to have equal representation of each of those areas. So if there's clarity that can help establish that, I think that's totally fair.
So just adding maybe the word equal number,
Equal representation?
equal representation, that works. Okay, I need a second, or he needs a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right. We'll do a roll call of his motion to just add the words equal representation. Go ahead.
Okay. Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Okay, and next one, are we on to C?
B.
B, we still have to motion, or there's already a motion. No, I need a motion. We do have a motion. But did that last
was-
one approve of it with that? Yeah, okay, so we're on
For all
to C.
A through,
Nope, now we're on
It
to
just-
C.
okay.
well, that was A, wasn't it?
That was A we did the motion for.
And B, we actually.
Okay,
probably didn't
gotcha.
need to poll, so I could just motion to approve that.
B. All right, on to B. I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Madam President,
Yes, please.
we voted to add a word. We didn't vote to accept A. Or do you want to finish A
That's what I
before we
asked.
go to B?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's what I was trying to get clarification from Shirley.
And
I
I-
thought maybe it did motion to approve of it with
No.
that change.
No, just
Okay.
the change.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes,
Thank you.
Okay. B. Motion to approve.
yes.
Second.
Okay. And discussion.
Yeah, I didn't actually have anything to say on that one. I could have left that one, sorry.
That's okay. All right. No comments on that one. Go ahead and roll call.
Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes,
Motion carries.
All right, on to C. Procedure for responding. I need a motion.
so moved.
Michael,
Second.
Clay, and discussion.
So, sorry, can I start?
You can, go ahead.
Similar concerns about the kind of vagueness. I was trying to look up, because this one is worded a little bit differently. But I guess, will there be in this one, the library review committee under level 2, is that a district level committee? So I guess in other words, it says a building principal. Would it be the principal from the building the complaint originated in, or would it be any principal or a different principal? Is there any?
Level 2 is the assistant superintendent shall appoint a committee. of 2 teachers, a building principal, and 2 volunteer parents or guardians. So I would say that that is a more of a district level. Level 1 is the building level.
Okay.
So
So-
I see it as a different committee than
Okay,
was
so
level
different
1.
principal, different teachers.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know exactly how to reword that or if that's even necessary, but I appreciate that clarification. And then my other kind of question was on level 1, at the building level. I had heard some concerns about it only being a principal and the library media specialist and the power dynamic that might exist there. Having just the 2 of them, especially since the principal would be above the library media specialist. And if the principal holds a differing opinion than the library media specialist, how that would come to be resolved. I don't know if that would be something that would just automatically move up into level 2, but I didn't necessarily see that in there if there was a disagreement at that level.
Ms. Parker, could you comment on that?
Yeah, Michael, good question. I think the intention was number 1, to keep it at the building level and have input from both the principal and the library media specialist. So I think the principal would act more as a facilitator of the conversation and understanding what the complaint is, but the decision is actually coming from the library media specialist. They're the ones that are going to actually fill out the first level decision. Does that answer the question? I hope.
It sure does. Thank you.
Great.
I think that I hear what you're saying about the power dynamic. I guess I would fear a little bit more of possibility that the parent might feel there is a power dynamic with 2 district employees and only 1 parent. So I don't know if we can clarify that the parent can phone a friend, bring.
I would assume that the
Yeah,
parent
yeah.
or somebody would be able to know that the spouse could come
Yeah,
too,
or-
or a friend,
Yeah.
or I'm certain that you could have that conversation with the principal.
Yeah.
And it'd be friendly.
I think that the idea behind the level 1 is to solve the problem at the lowest common
Right.
denominator. So my expectation as superintendent would be that the building principal and the library media specialist would welcome 2 people to come in together to have that discussion. And I would encourage any parent, complainant, or to reach out if they didn't feel that that was granted to them.
Mhm. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Baker.
So how would we clarify that in there? How could Kelsey put that in there so that the parent knows that they can bring somebody with? We probably should do that because you never know.
Could it say the complainant and 1 other person?
Yeah.
Kelsey, could it say something like that?
I mean, it certainly can. We could add the complainant is welcome to bring a representative. I think,
Yeah.
typically like things like this, they're signing it on their individual behalf. If they want a representative present, of course they can. We wouldn't prohibit that. But I think in this situation, we're just limiting, hey, here's the book that we have concerns with. Their complaint will be detailed on the complaint. I don't know if it's necessary to have another person present, but if that's the goal, we can certainly add some language that the complainant is free to bring an advisor or just a friend if they desire.
So if you want to make a motion, you certainly can, but make a motion with the language that you want.
The media specialist will meet with the complainant and up to 1 additional representative to discuss the complaint. And 1 additional person, the complainant, and I think it needs to be limited to 1, like
Mhm.
up
I
to
agree. I
1
agree.
additional person. So that's what I would say.
So Deb is making that motion. Does someone want a second? All right, as before, without any other discussion?
Okay.
Okay,
So complainant and up to one additional person to address the book.
I had just a small comment.
sure.
Without invalidating everybody's opinion, I think it gets difficult trying to catch everything that may or may not happen. I don't see a need to change it, only in the sense that if somebody wants to bring one at the time, if they wanted to bring somebody, they would be allowed to, versus them knowing that they could. I mean, like we're talking about, we're trying to keep it at the lowest, simplest point of this discussion. So I'm not trying to invalidate a complainant bringing somebody, but when you start talking about policies, and it can just get that. My concern is that everything starts getting wordy is all.
I guess I would only say that I have been in my own situation where I have something similar, where the principal and then teacher was there for one of my students, and it was a little intimidating, and I did not know I could bring an advocate or somebody else with me. So I don't mind the language change. It lets people know, or the parents, they can bring someone, but again, it limits it to the one person, which makes it again equal representation with the principal and the media specialist and a parent, and it lets them know they can bring one person for an advocate. Any other discussion? Yes, go ahead, Clay.
I just say, I hear where you're coming from, Bishop Carr, but in this instance, I think it is good to, and more on the limiting it to one too.
Yes.
I don't, you wouldn't want it to, bring 5 or 6 people, it's so. I think in this point, it's needed, and I'd vote to approve it.
Okay. All right, roll
Okay.
call on the motion.
Kate,
Yes,
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries. Now the original motion.
yes. Go back to the roll
Kate.
call. Yes.
Kate, Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. On to C. Or was that C? That was C. Okay, I didn't cross it out. All right, on to D. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
And discussion.
On this one, Ms. Clapham had just emailed us. So I just wanted to bring that forward since she's not here. And she made a good point that on number 3, I was just wondering about the deletion of observance of major religious holidays. Which I can kind of see probably where that came from, in the church and state kind of sense. But the point that she made that I think was a good point was that many of the many holidays are off for certain religions. So taking that out for other religions may actually prove to be discriminatory in a way. So I don't know if we could add that back in, or if there's reasoning for why that was removed.
And we don't have Stuart here tonight who brought the policy forward. Do you know anything about that?
I believe, President Thomas, that when they looked at the data, that wasn't being ever used. So they were removing that language because no one was using it. However, I personally don't have a problem with it being re-added. I just think that they pulled information from a number of years, and that excuse had, that designation for absences had not been utilized.
Certainly doesn't mean it might not in the future.
That's correct. Very true.
Would you like to make a motion to keep it?
Yes, I would motion to add that back in and then just put an or in between. So observance of major religious holidays or leaves of educational value.
You need a second?
Second.
Thank you, Clay. All right, to keep that language, roll call, please.
Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Then the original,
Roll call.
Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, on to the approval of the proposed consent agenda. Does anybody want anything pulled? Okay, I need a motion and a second.
Motion.
second,
Clay and Deb. And roll call.
Kate,
Yes.
Troy,
Yes.
Deb,
yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Clay,
Yes.
and Michael.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, on to items for board information. First one is the South Dakota Department of Education addressing chronic absenteeism grant. Please
Thank you,
explain.
President
Thank you.
Thomas. South Dakota has put up grant funding from 100 to $1.5 million to address chronic truancy in the state of South Dakota. Obviously, Rapid City, when we look at our state report card, we know that we have issues with chronic truancy and absenteeism. So we would like to apply for this grant so that we could utilize it to possibly offer some additional staffing to our truancy department or use it to incentivize. There's a bunch of different things. But there's a national trend of chronic absenteeism, especially post-COVID. And we need to address that in the state because, as the billboards around town say, 2 absences a month equal less likely to graduate. And of course, as a public education system, that is our goal, is to have students finish. We have multiple instances of 20 or more days being missed in a school year, I have seen up to 50 days being missed, which is incredibly high. And so this would allow us to address that within our community. And of course, we are hoping for a larger grant instead of a smaller grant so that we can do more good work with that.
All right. And the next information item?
The next one is McKinney-Vento. There is also additional funding available for McKinney-Vento. This year, the final designation of identified homeless students qualifying for McKinney-Vento was 812. That was our final number. I have not seen the number coming out of Sioux Falls, but this is the highest number we have ever identified. 812. Exciting stuff happening outside. So this, because we have over 300 students identified, and that, there's a big gap between 300 and 812, but the highest amount we can qualify for is $150,000. We have been using not only our McKinney-Vento grant, but also our American Rescue Plan grant for the last couple of years. This would add to our ability to help these families and help our staff. Some of the biggest costs that we have is our staff that work with the homeless families, because that does include by law transportation to school of origin. This is a program that I used to oversee, so I could speak on and on about it, but the paraprofessionals that drive the Suburbans, they have to get up super early in the morning, go get the Suburban in the middle of winter, scrape it off the snow, drive, get families, get kids to the correct school, and then do it again at the end of the day to get the children home. Any funding that we could get from the state and the federal government to help with this helps our families and our community.
Thank you. All right, on to the superintendent report. That is still you.
It is still me. Actually, I have been in Sioux Falls the last 2 days. I am taking a class on school finance. I know Coy is more than capable, but I'm trying to get smarter and not take his time up. So I drove home today and I don't have a big superintendent report. I do thank all of the board for attending the graduations of the various schools that we had. I'm happy to report that we had 350 graduates from Stevens High School, 300 graduates from Rapid City Central, 91 from Rapid City High School and the virtual program, and 42 from the GED program. So as always, I think we should continue to support that. Last week being the last week of school, I know many board members went out and attended the various functions that were happening at the schools. So I know one principal got whipped cream. I know there was a picnic. Sadly, one picnic at one school was interrupted by a bomb threat at a area business, which was not fun for the kids, but that is the world that we live in. We are always safe. And I think that the teachers let me know if I was wishing them happy birthday, June 1st or 2nd, that this is the longest they remember being at school. So I think everyone's really excited that our calendars the next 2 years do get us out before Memorial Day. But it's an exciting time of year, and I wish all of our staff that our teachers certified that are in the buildings a wonderful summer, and our students and families as well.
Thank you. Any other from board members? Mr. Carr.
I just wanted to piggyback on the Superintendent Swiger's report on the graduation rate. She and I had a unfortunate conversation about that situation, and it was concerning to the both of us. And so I do want to report to the community that we are aware of the problem. We don't like the statistics of our district's graduation rate, and we are intensely looking to see how we can improve that. I know that's been some talk in the community, and so I just want to let them know that that we are trying to think of ways to address that, to increase that graduation rate at all the schools.
Mrs. Baker.
I did attend the deal at Norwood, the principal, and I think there was 6 teachers that were lined up, and they had a class that they'd written a paper, I think, and the other one was for attendance, these kids that had the best attendance. And these kids were lined up behind these teachers, and it was the craziest thing ever. I mean, they smacked them in the face with whipped cream, they smacked them on the head with whipped cream, they poured cherries over the top of them, and they did get rinsed off with water, but that was the coolest thing ever. But when they were done, Christine Henry, the principal there, got up in front of these kids, because the ones that were sitting out there that didn't get to do the face planting, but asked them, did you enjoy this? Was this kind of fun for you? And they were just all over it. And they said, well, if you come to school every day next year, you can do this. So it was just a cool way to try to get these kids to make it to school every day. And she's phenomenal. That whole staff over there is phenomenal. So it was pretty fun to watch them get all messed up.
That's great. All right, any others? Okay. We will be going into executive session for SDCL 1-25-2.1. There will be no further action afterwards. I need a roll call for that.
Motion.
Motion at first.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Kate?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes, and signing out from Cabo.
Thank you.
Adios.
Deb?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Clay?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.